morning. Happy Thursday. It's Transmission Thursday. It's also a beautiful day. If you're not on YouTube, you can see my shirt says choose kindness. It is a beautiful day. Every day is a beautiful day to choose kindness. We're going to give it a little bit and wait for individuals to show up. I am broadcasting to both TikTok and YouTube, so you'll see my eyes going back and forth between the two screens. But let me do what I should do on TikTok anyway, is share the recording out to those who follow me. So just give me 1 second. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you, Carolyn? Thank you for liking the live. I appreciate that. That is the way it is on TikTok, where we have to we have to get those likes. It's just the way their system works. So I'm just doing some sharing because I was taught that sharing is caring. So here I am caring. How are you doing? So today we're going to talk about some cool stuff. We're going to do some activities and it's weird how it doesn't when you're on your device. Different devices respond differently. So there. Anyway, we've got it all going now. Hello, love. How's everybody doing? So like I said, today we're going to be talking about a couple of cool things. The one thing that we're going to be covering today in this episode is the waters of remembrance, healing the inner ocean and restoring emotional sovereignty. So a powerful show today. There's, of course, with every show that I do, not only is there education or questions getting answered about the topic that I'm talking about, but we also do rituals and we also do practical stuff. So you always leave having done some breath work or some somatic experiencing or some connection of some sort with yourself. Right. And this is important. The one thing that protects us from whether it's entities, whether it's manipulation from any source out there, whether it's a close, intimate partnership, or it's just the general public or it's mainstream media, whatever it is that's potentially showing up that can be manipulating you, the best thing that you can do is be sovereign and discerning, and to also do practices that cleanse your energy, call your power back, and clear yourself. So the way that we protect ourselves from manipulation is using our own discernment and getting really good at checking in with ourselves and verifying. And the more that we do these practices, these energetic practices, the more that we end up being sovereign and the less that we are at risk of being hijacked by some other source, right? And I mean, CERN's out there doing all kinds of crazy things right now, and to just throw it out there for TikTok and YouTube and the algorithms and what they like to do. I'm just going to preface everything with this is entertainment purposes only unless it resonates with you. I mean, this is me channeling from my Oversoul and from Prime Source, and this is the information or this is my knowing. These are a lot of my knowings. Hello, rising from within. So today we're going to talk about, like I said, we're going to talk about the waters of remembrance and healing the inner ocean and restoring emotional sovereignty. On Tuesday's show, if you missed that, the lives are always shared on my YouTube channel, so you can go there and check that out. On Tuesdays, we talked about the crystalline mind, so we were getting sovereign in our mental space, and now we're going to look at our emotional sovereignty because they are different things. Our empathy can be weaponized. That doesn't mean that we want to not have any hi diamond girl. That doesn't mean that we don't want to have any empathy. We do. We want to have empathy, but we also want to be discerning, and we don't want to allow somebody else to be controlling our emotions. Because if I can control you emotionally, then I can control you. right? If I can get you to feel a certain way or charge your energy in a specific way, if I can make you super angry and raging out, if I can make you super upset, or if I can make you afraid, I can change the actions that you're going to do in the day. I can change the way that you're going to move through your life. I can change the way that you're going to magnetize things to yourself. Right? The more that we are living or operating in fear or lack or guilt or shame or blame or in those emotional areas, the more that we are out of our natural resonance, which is very magnetic for the things that we're wanting to bring to us. So blessings, Thomas. So on Tuesday, we talked about the mind and getting sovereign with our mind. Today, we're going to get sovereign with our emotions. So today we journey into the sacred waters, the currents of memory, emotion, and soul sensation that flow through the body and the planet. The waters of remembrance are not a metaphor. Water is intelligent. Water is sentient, right? Water has memory. And even in the tests that they're doing with water now, rather than just, originally there was a gentleman who was taking water and he would record words, speaking into it, and then he would freeze it. So he would say things like love, and he would say things like hate, and then he would freeze them, and you would see that in the containers where it was said love, or other high vibrational terms, but love, when it would say love, it would freeze in these beautiful fractals. There were beautiful patterns in the ice that was frozen. When you said hate, it was fragmented and disconnected and disjointed, and it didn't have the same resonance in the ice that was frozen. Well, there's a lady that's taken that concept of speaking into the water, and she's taken it a step further. And what she's found out is something that is beyond just the words having different resonance and showing up patterns. She's put the petri dish of water over top of things like seeds, like a sunflower seed. And then she's froze the water. And when you look at the water after it's been frozen, so that when you look at the ice, the pattern that's on it is of a fully developed sunflower. So from looking at or putting the water over top of the sunflower seed and then freezing it is yielding pictures of sunflowers, which is just unbelievable that by putting it over the seed, the water knows that the seed is going to become a sunflower. And it's not just sunflower seeds. They put it over top of other seeds, and it would show those representation of what that plant would look like when it grew, not the seed. So that's showing you that there's intelligence within water. So they're living codes within your blood, your lymph, your wound, and your tear ducts. And they carry the crystalline archives of your oversoul stored in liquid form. So when our emotional body is suppressed or distorted, or disconnected, these sacred waters become stagnant. So we don't have that flow within us, right? And we stop flowing with the truth, and we begin recycling trauma, stories, and inherited pain. So today we're going to awaken those inner tides and let the water flow freely as clarity, memory, and love return. So that's what our goal is for today in our live. And like I said, I have YouTube and TikTok, so you'll see me going between the two screens. And I do have notes that I've written down for today's episode, so I make sure that I cover everything that I was meaning or wanting to cover. And the way that you guys can help me, whether you're on TikTok or YouTube, is definitely by liking the live. Unfortunately, on TikTok, it's a little bit more than just like it once. You have to tap on it repeatedly to really give the likes into the system. It's not me. If it was me, I'd say just come and hang out with me and enjoy and whatever. But in order for the algorithm to appreciate what I'm bringing, I need you to like what I'm bringing. And you show me that you like me, unfortunately, by liking with taps or by gifts or by sharing, right? And comments, right? So that's how the live gets. Oh, hang on. Hi, Salasia. I hope you stuck on and you didn't swipe on through. Otherwise, hi, bye, Salasia. Hi, bye. The tea is really hot, and I like my hot tea, so I had to get a sip before it was too late. And it's going to just keep getting colder, right? Cooler and cooler and cooler. Okay, so every episode that I do when I do the lives, I start with a little bit of a blurb about what we're going to learn today. Then we always go into a ritual of some sort where it's either breath work or some practice that we do. Then I go through the core teachings of what we're going to learn. We do another little practical thing. Then I do questions and answers. We do another little practical thing, and then closing. So that's how each show is operated. Hello. So again, 2 screens. All right, so right now we've already talked about what we're going to do today. So now we're going to look at the water breath ritual, which is going to allow us to soften our emotional field. So we're going to start with some breath work, and you can do this sitting or lying down. This isn't one where we're standing up nice and tall. We just can sit or lie in a position of comfort. And the next thing that we're going to do is just close our eyes, and we're going to rest our hands just on our lower belly, like on our womb space, or the hara is what it would be referenced as for men, as your hara. So it's just the lower belly. And we're just going to, as we're holding on to our lower belly, we're just going to start inhaling through the nose at a count of 4, feeling water enter. And then we're going to exhale through our mouth like a soft ocean wave for a count of 6. So inhaling water, exhaling like a wave. Okay, so in for 4, out for 6. So let's get ready to do that. And we're going to do it for a couple of minutes, breathing in that space. And I'll talk a little bit as we're doing the breathing. Okay, but in the beginning, I'll do the counting. So we're going to inhale through the nose for 4, out through the mouth for 6. In through the nose for 4, out through the mouth for 6. Continue in that space of in for 4, feeling the water enter, and out for 6, like a soft ocean wave. In, out. Water in, wave out, water in, wave out. Now visualize a gentle river of crystalline blue light moving through your body. In for 4, out for 6, water in, wave out, water in, wave out. Wave in, water in, wave out. Now visualize that crystalline blue light moving through your body from the crown to your feet, and have it rinse your nervous system, your memories, and your womb. In for 4, out for 6. In for 4, out for 6. For those of you just joining, we have our hands on our lower abdomen or stomach, holding on to what is the womb space or the hara. We're inhaling through our nose for 4, and in the inhale, we're seeing the water come in. And as we exhale, we're exhaling for 6 seconds, like a wave moving away. As we inhale, we're seeing crystalline blue light move through our body from our crown to our feet. And when we exhale, we're exhaling all of the stuff that we are rinsing and moving out. So any stagnant nervous system energy, any memories that we've been holding on to, any stagnant energy at all. We're just letting that release. And as we are doing this practice, we're just going to speak aloud. I soften, I surrender, I remember. My emotional body is safe to flow. The sacred waters return. And you can continue breathing in that and just allow the tides to speak. In with the water, out with the wave. In with the water, out with the wave. In with the water, out with the wave. And just sit in silence for a moment, letting the tides within you speak. Okay. How did that feel? And you can do that every day if you wanted to. You can do that at any point in time. The one thing that we can use to regulate our nervous system or to engage with our nervous system and bring it into a more regulated space is our breath, right? And the other thing that is really important for us to make sure that we're doing is connecting with our present moment and with being present, right? Being present with ourselves. So they're really, really important. And today, like I said, we're talking about emotional sovereignty, whereas on Tuesday, we were talking about mental sovereignty. And these things are important. There's a lot of things out there right now that are trying to distract you or manipulate you or have you feel a certain way, because when you feel a certain way or when you think a certain way, you can be controlled, right? So let's talk about why we forget and how we flow again, because a big part of our memories or our knowing, right, comes from resonance and it comes from connecting into those spaces. So the human body is over 70% water, but even beyond biology, we are made of memory, right? Lots is stored in our DNA and in our energetic or our etheric body through those energetic spaces, right? So water is the carrier of remembrance. It holds not only hydration and nutrients, but it also stores your stories, your emotions, vibration, and ancestral lineage. Now, we forget, but not because we are broken, but because trauma, suppression, and modern disconnection freeze the flow, right? We're taught all along to just ignore our emotions. How many times, I don't know if you grew up in the age that I did, but when I grew up, there was a lot of, are you crying? If you're crying, I'll give you something to cry about. If you don't stop your crying, I'll give you something to cry about. So we learned emotional suppression. We learned to disregard what we were feeling in our bodies, because many of us, girls and boys, because sexual abuse in children does not just happen to girls. Sexual assault does not just happen to the females of society, right? It happens collectively across the boards, and all children are unfortunately harmed in this way. And that emotion that's going through us, I just got off track when I started going on that for a moment. So I'm going to take a sip. We have these feelings within our bodies or these knowings. And maybe energetically, we'll be looking at our uncle and be like, yeah, he makes me feel like he creeps me out. Like there's some energy that I feel from him. I don't want to go around him. And yet our families will oftentimes force us to go and interact, or will force us to go and touch or hug or whatever. Well, yes, not all children do go through sexual abuse, but many, many, many of us do. And I'm hard pressed to say Probably 75% of everybody has experienced. Good morning. I love you. I wish you could join me in class today, Metal Chick. It would be really lovely if you can. And I know Thursdays are a busy day for you, but if you have the ability to, I would love it if you would come and hang out with us in class today. But if not, I wish you well on whatever your journeys are today. So yay! So we forget, not because we're broken, but because trauma suppression and modern disconnection frees the flow. We're trained to ignore our feelings. We're trained to fear our feelings. We're trained to suppress or repress them, right? We silence our anger. We question our intuition. We repress our grief. We disconnect so much through it. Right? We are taught so many ways in childhood to fear our emotions or to not allow them the space to be felt, or even to be taught how to regulate our emotions, how to be healthy with our emotions, right? We're not taught that emotional intelligence. So the inner ocean becomes damaged, and without movement, our memory calcifies. So when we flow again, we don't just feel, we recover. And we recover timelines, we recover emotions, soul contracts, and clarity. So it's important for us to remember and to work through these emotional issues that we're dealing with. It's really important for us to do those. Please say hi and comment on the live. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you, for sure. So here's why we forget. One, emotional suppression is rewarded as maturity, right? Look at them. They're not saying or doing anything. In my healing journey, I've actually had close friends that I thought were, going to stick with me for a long time, decide that they, in the honor of being truthful or whatever, really felt that they could say whatever they wanted to about me and my life and offer their opinions and their judgment, and do so in a way that was very hurtful for me. And in me crying, it was relayed to me that I was triggered. And it's like, no, I'm a human being with emotions. And if somebody that I care about says something to me that's hurtful, it would make logical sense that I would then cry, or that I would express my emotions in a way. Unhealthy expression of emotions. Yeah, if I'm yelling and screaming and flipping a table, if I'm name calling, if I am, doing all of these other things, and we know we've all been there in different stages of our healing journey where we aren't acknowledging our emotions. We stuff down the anger. We're like, I'm mad about that, but I'm just going to shove it down there because I can't speak my truth with somebody, because in speaking with my truth, I might lose them. Right? Or if I'm angry, you're not allowed to be angry. And I keep telling people all the time, it's not your anger that is the issue. It's how you react because of it. The anger is important. It's essential, right? All of our emotions are messengers. They're giving us information about our environment, what's going on, what's not going on, whether we're in alignment or not in alignment. There's so much energy or information that comes from our emotions. Our culture idolizes logic and mocks intuition. And that is true, right? Intuition isn't something that we're even taught in school. It's not something that we learn as we're growing up, unless you happen to grow up in an environment where you have somebody who is aware of those things and isn't suppressing it. But for the most part, we've been taught we have our 5 senses. Can you touch it? Can you taste it? Can you touch it? Can you taste it? Can you smell it? Can you see it? And can you touch, taste, smell, hear it? Can you hear it, right? Can we reproduce it in science? Is it something that we can test, and we can hypothesize and we can test for it? Because they don't want to leave the idea that that there's more beyond what we can sense. And it's not that they can't detect it, it's just they don't have the instruments to detect it now. Right? It's not that it doesn't exist. It's just they don't have the ability to test for it or to validate it or verify it. Right? But it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. But how many of us in school, you've met people that feel so safe and secure, and they just have such emotional intuition, and they're just beautiful, but not being a super intellectual person, like getting straight A's or whatever. They're probably like cast outside a little bit with mainstream, right? It's true. We get so rewarded for the titles that we have and the money that we have and how we move through the ranks and corporate and stuff like that. But nobody's sitting there going, oh my God, did you see the way that girl was with that person that hurt themselves and how emotionally safe of a position that she presented and how she helped guide that individual? Nobody's giving her kudos or him kudos for being, an emotionally safe space. But if you are really intelligent, I mean, oh my God, there's all kinds of ways that you can get kudos for that. So, and oftentimes it's completely mocked. Like you get that gut feeling and it's like, you don't know anything. What are you talking about? You got a feeling. Like, what do you mean? Right. And it's looked at as silly. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you, love? Trauma also creates disconnection between the body and the emotional field. We did this as a safety mechanism, right? If you're a child like me, I suffered a lot of, or experienced, I'm not going to say suffered because I've cleared through that. But during my childhood, I experienced a lot of sexual assault. And I can talk about that TikTok because it's my story. I experienced a lot of that. And in experiencing that, in order for me to comprehend or to move beyond that experience as a child, the only way I could handle in my child mind, in my child body about these experiences that was happening was to disconnect. And one of the things one of the types of nervous system states that your body can go into is disassociation. So it's the freeze category, right? We'll go to fight, flight, freeze, or we'll go to fawn. Those are the 4 F's. Now, freeze also contains the concept of flop. It's not just freeze, but it can also be flop. So if it completely overwhelms your nervous system, you may disassociate. But if it overwhelms you to a specific point, then you lose all tone in your muscles and you flop. And that's where you get people that, under extreme duress pass out. We disconnect from our bodies because we don't want to feel everything that we're experiencing. We can't handle that. So our brains will take a portion of it. And oftentimes our brains will say, you can't even handle that. So then it puts it in a box and it puts the lid on it. And there's something there, but it's in the dark. It's our repressed memories. Our bodies will take some and it's numbed out and detached, and another piece will take a piece. And so we just keep storing it and compartmentalizing what we experienced rather than bearing the full weight of it, because we can't. Our whole little bodies and our little minds and our little spaces would just collapse under the weight of the traumas that we're experiencing. So again, we disconnect from it. And for many of us adults, we don't even realize that we're still disconnected from our bodies. For me, there was a key thing that I've picked up in my language. And it was when I would say things like, I think I feel. So I wasn't feeling, I was thinking I felt a specific way. I was going through the logic center to access the emotions. And when I realized that, that's how I realized I was still operating in a disconnected space. So I had to go back into what do I feel and just connect with the feeling. The other thing is we have ancestral grief, which sits unprocessed in our sacral and womb waters. So in the energy in the water that flows through our womb space, or the hara for men, but in our abdomen, and also in our sacral. So that's the sacral space for men as well. We experience that stagnation and that holding on of that unprocessed energy. When we avoid grief, we also abandon ourselves. We abandon our own heart in the process of our grief experience. And people get taught through their experiences to be afraid of their emotions, afraid of the weight of them. And because we've suppressed for so long or avoided connecting with our emotions and working through it, we've actually, we feel like we have a dam. So it's like there's this overwhelming bulk of emotions that we have to go through, and it feels overwhelming. And I know for many people that are in that space, I know I was. It just you felt like you had to open up the whole thing and let the floodgates fly, and that's not the case. You're going to go in and deal with as much as you can, and then close the door, recoup recover yourself, do your emotional regulation, bring your body, do the soothing, all of that stuff before you enter back into it. It's not about going in and, I've said this in my concept or in my language for many years now. We're not doing it. We're not drinking the ocean all in one gulp. Or even if we were going to drink the ocean, we would do it by taking a cup of it and taking a sip. We wouldn't just jump in the ocean and with a big old straw and drink the entire ocean. Or we wouldn't take one big gulp, right? Same thing with eating an elephant, right? These are concepts or terminologies or the ways that people have captured that mentality, right? We don't eat the elephant all at once. We would eat it bite by bite. It's the same thing with your healing journey. You're not jumping in the deep end. You're not taking on more than you can handle. You're not eating it up all at once. You're going to do it in a pace that is appropriate for you. And you're different than me, and you're different from your friend, and you're different from your husband or your mom or your dad or your brother or anybody else in your life. So your journey is your journey, and you're going to move through it at a speed and at a rate that is appropriate for you and your nervous system, right? Just because we have maybe had the same experiences, maybe you experienced neglect, maybe you experienced physical abuse, maybe you experienced emotional abuse, maybe you've sexual abuse or financial abuse, maybe you've been homeless or whatever. But just because you've experienced the same things as somebody else doesn't mean that your experience was the same as someone else's. Nobody can have the same experience unless they've had all of the same experiences and they have the same inside makeup as the other person. So if you are completely identical and had a completely identical situations throughout your life, then maybe, just maybe, you'll have the identical same outcome. But even that, you can have twins who end up being completely different, and that's as close as you could get to being, identical. So we have to give ourselves the opportunity to move through our journey at the rate that's good for us, and don't allow anyone to push you in too fast, too hard, or too much in like jumping in the deep end, right? Because then you're the one that's going to end up being re-traumatized through that experience or overwhelmed with what you have to do. So when we avoiding our grief, when the water is stagnant, then the soul voice cannot travel. Like, I picked up my tea and I'm just holding on to it. It would probably be a good idea to sip on it. That was just funny. I was going to sit here and hold on to it, but not actually drink it. All right. So when the water is stagnant, the soul voice cannot travel. But when the water moves and when we allow the tears to flow, the sacred rage, the spontaneous joy, then we realign those currents of our emotional fields, and we come back into the harmonic flow of who we are, and we allow ourselves to remember again. Because like I said, as we're locked or we're stagnant energy, we can't access those memories. And when I'm talking about memories, I'm not talking about the memory that we suppressed because we were sexually assaulted. I'm talking about the memories that we have, that we've come through the veil and we forgot because we came through the veil. And all of the things that disconnect us from our truth and from our resonance, from our actual, our personal resonance, is what blocks us from accessing who am I beyond this incarnation of myself? What is my truth? Energetically, what am I feeling in the world around me? What is my intuition saying? What is my discernment picking up in these situations? The more that we clear those energies, the more that we become aligned with our true resonance, with our true vibration, which makes us magnetic for all the things that are meant for us. As long as we're storing all those griefs and traumas and we're not acknowledging our emotions or working through them, or we're disregarding our intuition, or we feel that our emotions are wrong in some way, that just keeps us trapped and stuck within that space. So it's important for us to allow those energies to be moved through us to do the healing work. So the crystalline waters of remembrance bring restoration of emotional safety. They bring an activation of your intuitive guidance. They are detoxification of your spiritual stagnancy. And they also create a deep connection with your oversoul memory. You don't need to understand everything right now. You just need to let the waters move. And each drop carries home. Each ripple opens memory. Each wave brings you back to your center, just like we were doing today when we were doing the breathing and we were bringing in the water, clearing our nervous system, exhaling on a wave, right? We're the wave in and the wave out. We were just allowing that to cleanse us, right? Emotions are not obstacles. They're gateway. Every tear holds a memory. Every contraction holds a truth. And the inner ocean gets blocked when we judge emotions as wrong or weak, when we carry shame about our expression, when we override our pain with mental clarity, and when we absorb the trauma from others without releasing it. And oftentimes we're not clear with our energetic field, right? We're not paying attention to our field the way that we should be, right? We interact with people all the time who do nothing but like drag us down energetically or otherwise, right? We interact with tons of things. Like if you are emotionally clear or energetically clear and you go and eat something and right after eating it, you feel like, that's your sign it's not for you. If you do the same thing, if you're feeling like energy, your energy feels open, it feels like it's flowing, and you're in connection with your intuition, and you know that you're in that state. And then you go and watch something on television, and when you watch it on television, all of a sudden you feel heavy afterwards. That's telling you again that's not good for you, or that's not something that you should be doing. And if you do feel that from it, then you should do something energetically to cleanse your emotions from it. Lots of times we're running around out there and we're feeling things and we're not realizing they're not even ours. We're not feeling our stuff. We're feeling somebody else's stuff. We're picking up the energies from people in our space. Pura vida. Buenos dias. Muy bien. Muy bien. So the waters of remembrance cleanses all of this. When we restore flow to the emotional field, our inner ocean becomes our oracle. Truth rises without being forced, and our emotions guide rather than consume. So the crystalline water body is the womb of creation, and healing it restores our intuitive sovereignty. So it's really important for us to be doing this, right? And it's, we need to wake up to our truth. We spent so much time thinking that our truth was to work right? Who wasn't born into this world thinking that our purpose, we had to get educated, get a job, make money, and work our job and do our vacations and have our families and buy our house and buy our car and buy all of our things. Like, we were born to think that we had to accomplish all of these things, and we had to buy and consume all of these things, and that everything that we're looking for is found outside of us, and that our emotions and our intuition are wrong, and that even our thoughts are manipulated all the time with what we're taught and trained, right? What our belief system becomes because of the collective as well. So we're going to do a little somatic practice, and then we'll talk about some of the common questions about restoring emotional sovereignty. So this one here is a somatic practice. So whereas this morning when we were doing our breath, when we were doing our breathing, we were breathing in over 4 seconds and out over 6 seconds. And in the breath work, we were envisioning the wave and we were doing all of this cleansing stuff. This one here, we're going to bring our body into it. So this one you can do standing or sitting, but you want your spine nice and tall. And all we're doing now is we're just allowing ourselves to flow, thinking of water, right? So you can move your arms like waves, have them moving through your space. You're moving your body. You can be swirling it. So we're just moving it. Now I'm sitting in cross-legged position on the floor, which is a really hip opening position to be sitting in, right? Your hips very open in this space. So when we're moving, we're actually rolling through that hip space, which is going to be moving the energy that we store there. And we store a ton of emotions in our womb space or in our lower abdomen in the sacral region, right? So when we're moving like this, and that's why they will talk in trauma healing about the importance of doing somatic experiencing and hip opening exercises, and we'll even instruct things like yoga to open up that space. So we're just moving, and you're just envisioning like water, and you can move your arms as well. You can lift them over your head. You can move them through like they're just waves, right? We're just moving like a wave. We're just honoring the fluid energy that is with the waters that run through our body, and also with the emotional energy, right? And all of our memories in that space. So as we do this, just moving, this isn't a long practice. I'm just demonstrating this because you can do more of this in your own time. You can put on different music that will allow you to move through it. Now we're going to put one hand over our heart and one over our sacral, so the lower belly, okay? And we're just going to speak softly. I release what is no longer mine. I feel to heal. I express to remember. I trust the current of my soul. Now you can continue moving. And if any sounds feel like coming out as you're doing this with your hand over your abdomen and on your heart space, if you feel any sounds or tones, like maybe you feel like going, maybe you want to do an maybe you want to do an om. And just let it move through you, right? Could be even just you want to sigh, maybe as you breathe in. And just let it move. Let the energy move through you. Hum, sigh, whisper. Just let it move the inner tides in your body while you're moving as a water, moving as a wave. All right. You can continue to keep moving like that and humming. I'm going to continue on with our questions and the answers for those questions that I get asked when we're talking about emotional sovereignty. Hello, say hello, and like the live. Appreciate you. All right. And do make sure you're following if you're not following. And for those of you that are watching me on TikTok, you really should follow me on my YouTube channel, because that's where all the lives get posted. So you can go in and check on the other stuff that's there. Or do join me in the Temple of Light in Anshara'El.com. So if you go to the website, which is the same as my handle here, which is Anshara'El.com. So you can go there, and I have several groups. I'll talk about them at the end of the live, though. I'm going to go through a little rundown of what the different groups are that I have available, and stuff that some of the other stuff that I have available for you as well. All right. So how do I know if my emotional body is blocked? So some of the signs of that include numbness, includes avoidance of feelings, constant mental overthinking, a disconnection from tears. So if we have a difficulty crying, and I know many people that have, they almost say that as a positive thing, like, yeah, I don't cry. I don't, like I never cry. Right. And so we have to be aware of like those things when we're not allowing ourselves, hi Shelby Boo, we're not allowing ourselves to feel those emotions and express them in a way like crying, then that's the things. The other things that we may not, we might be disconnected from desire. We don't actually have, like, we're like, I don't know, I don't really want or desire any, I don't have any drive, like any passion driving me in any direction. I'm just like, right? That can be another example of it. And the same thing with joy, right? Those of us that are afraid to experience joy or hold back from experiencing joy, that can be an indication that the waters in your body are not flowing freely. So what if I cry too much or feel overwhelmed? And you're not too much. That's the other thing. You have to remind yourself you are never too much, right? And think about, if I'm actually 50. I almost said I'm 40. But if at 50 years old, imagine all of the stored emotions that I kept in my body when most of my life was spent in trauma and in ignoring or unresolving in unresolved states of trauma. So with all of those emotions suppressed and stuff, there's a lot that did not come out. So when you start crying, you might feel, and I remember, my therapist at one point, when I was in my healing journey, talking about, like, so what if you cry forever? Like, for one, you're not going to cry forever, because there's that whole feeling, if I start crying, I'm not going to stop. And it's like, yes, you will. You'll eventually stop, because you'll literally run out of tears at some point, but you're not going to cry forever. And even if you just give yourself the ability and say, if I want to, I can. I started doing the whole, it's my party and I'll cry if I want to. Well, it's my healing journey, so I'll cry if I want to. And I will. It's my life. I'll cry if I want to. And it's sacred, right? So you're moving the backlog. It's a backlog of emotions that have been frozen. So there is going to be more than what there would be had you moved through those, right? Then when we meet something and we have an experience, if it's upsetting, we're upset with that experience. We're not upset with that experience and every single experience that felt the same throughout our whole lives. When we're dealing with that, it feels like we're literally holding a wall up for a dam of emotions that's going to overwhelm us the second that we start tapping into it. And this crying is a sacred release. Just let it come, let it go. This is your body returning to truth. It's okay, right? Just remind yourself that this is just an overflow of emotions that I need to release, because I've held on to them for far too long, and I am not too much. I am not too much. So then, can emotions carry ancestral pain? Yes, water holds memory. So you may be feeling generations of silence. Your feeling is the medicine your lineage never received, by the way. So this is, by feeling it, you transmute it. That's how we transmute the energies. We have to be doing something to take the energy from the state that it currently is in and move it into a different state. So there has to be something that has to be done to transmute that. Whether you're writing it down in a journal and burning it, whether you are using water or you're grounding, doing stomping, cutting wood is a great way to get energy out from anger. There's different actions that you can take, but by feeling it, you're transmuting it. So what supports my emotional body after deep release? Well, one, drinking structured water, to rest as well, and to wrap yourself in softness. Let your body recalibrate, journal, move gently, and surround yourself with beauty and sound that calms your tides, right? Be kind to yourself. Be kind, right? The shirt says choose kindness. Well, choose kindness starting with yourself, right? Choose to be kind to yourself. Choose to be that nurturing, compassionate, loving mom that maybe didn't teach you, that you didn't have. So be that mom for yourself now, but also be the dad that actually puts structure in place and says, we're going to do these things each day, right? It's important that we do this as a regular practice to move through it. But just make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself. So how do I reclaim emotional sovereignty? One, by honoring your emotions without shame, right? That's the biggest thing that you can do, is just, my emotions are never wrong. My emotions are messengers. I am completely allowed. Good morning, Steve. Been a while. And hi, Doris. I don't know if I said, I'm doing quite well. How are you doing? So reclaiming it by honoring your emotions, by no longer outsourcing your state to other people, by allowing your inner tides to guide your choices with love rather than fear. your emotions are they're valuable and they're valid. So allow them to be expressed. It's learning how to express them in a healthy way. That's the important thing. And when we let go of some of the emotions that we've been holding on to, it's not as big when we go to experience, the next time, right? If I've worked through, all of the experiences, let's say, of neglect, then when somebody neglects me in the current moment, I'm going to feel the emotions of them neglecting and I'm going to move through it. But if I don't work through those, then I'm going to feel the rejection of that moment plus every other moment where I've been abandoned or rejected. So it's going to be a huge amount within it. I love my plants. I love all my plants. This one's my baby though. I have that one. This dude he's a beautiful, huge aloe vera. But yeah, I love my plants for sure, Steve. So why do I feel emotionally reactive around certain people or environments? Well, these are memory triggers, right? Either from a past trauma or a soul contract. They're showing you that there are waters within you that are still holding on to distortion. So thank that person for giving you the mirror and allow you to release what is charged energy within you and come back to your core, right? So when you go into an environment, let's say, if I go around, or I used to have a big, I'd go into panic attack. I would have a panic attack when I would hear motorbikes. And it's because when I was a child, a smaller child, about 5, 6, I was 5, my parents separated and it was a very chaotic fight. A window, like my stepfather was locked out at one point. And so my mom had locked him out and he smashed his hand through the window, broke back in the house. He had a bike that he was repairing that he had down in the basement. And he literally started the bike in the basement and drove it up the stairs. It was very loud and very scary for a small child who was not really processing like this big fight that my parents are having and breaking up and glass smashing and all of this stuff. Like, it's just outside of my ability to comprehend what's going on. It just is scary. It's noisy. So then when I would hear motorbikes, I would have a panic attack. And I didn't understand it. And for a long time, I was so disconnected from it, I didn't even realize that's what was happening. It wasn't until I was in my healing journey when I had stopped running, when I would notice that whenever a motorcycle, or especially if there was a group of them, I would tense up. Like I would feel myself contract into myself and I would have a panic attack. And when I wasn't running through life with, what can I do next? And, running through my job and running or numbing out, and I sat there with it, that's when I recognized this is a panic attack, and I could feel it for the full weight of what it was. And that allowed me to move through it and recognize that that was what it was from, and it's understandable, and to move that energy. And now they don't affect me like that. I don't have a panic attack when I hear motorbikes. Or motorcycles, if we want to use the full, like motorbikes probably sounds a little funny. All right. So that would be an environment where I would feel something. And that's my cue to look at it and go, why am I feeling this way under this circumstances? Well, the reason why is that. So if you say, you don't know, but maybe as a child, let's say you were at the store and, you played that hide and seek game with your mom and she left. And when she left out of your view, but not out of her view, you thought she abandoned you. So now for whatever reason, every time you go into this one store, you feel a bit off. You feel a bit like your tummy hurts, or you're feeling a bit anxious, or you're feeling a bit, upset. And you don't even realize that the reason why is that when you were a kid, that moment where your mom walked away looked like she was abandoning you, and you've stored that in your body. And you just need to recognize that it's that you felt safe at some point when you were shopping, and that now you can look at that and realize like it wasn't what you thought it was, for one, because your mom didn't leave you. She just left where you could see her, right? There's that kind of reconciliation that can occur. So how do I differentiate between emotional guidance and emotional reaction? So emotional guidance comes with a gentle current. It's a knowing beneath the wave. A reaction, on the other hand, is sharp, urgent, or inflamed. And with practice, you learn what the difference is between those two things within your body. Hi, Blue Healer. How are you? And hi, Dr. Liz. So there's also just practicing, right? Just sitting with your body. And as you clear those stagnant emotions and move through them, then, they'll be cleared from your system. So they won't be affecting your intuition or your experience. It's going to come down to that focal point of what's in the present moment. But it's clearing through those, and it's also just sitting with it and being aware of it. So where's this emotion coming from? Is this guiding me to know something, to feel something, to move in a specific direction because it's giving me a message that's important for me? Or is this old residual energy that I'm feeling, or is it even mine? Right? And one of the first things when you're feeling a wave of emotion within your body is to stop and go, is this mine? What of this is mine? Because I might be picking up the energies from people all around me, or just energies from other stuff that's giving off energy. So what is womb remembrance, and do I need a physical womb to access it? Womb remembrance is the restoration of divine feminine intelligence that is stored in the sacral waters. There's creativity, it's your intuitiveness, it's your rhythmic ability to move through the water. All beings, whether you're male or female, carry this energy or carry this current regardless of gender. You have a sacral chakra, whether you're male or female, and that sacral or womb space or the hara space is still there. And in whether we are male or female, if we have wounding from our mom, or feminine wounding specifically, but parental wounding or any sexual wounding, that's going to be stored within our womb space or in our sacral region. And a lot of other emotions get stored there as well. So it's important. So womb remembrance, like I said, is that restoration of the divine feminine intelligence that's stored there, and all beings carry it. It lives in your sacral and your cellular memory. I've been emotionally numb for years. How do I start to feel again? Well, one, begin with breath and gentle sound. So like we did today, where we were breathing in and out. And then when at the end I said to just sit there and let whatever emotion or whatever sound to come up. So maybe you feel like going, or maybe on the breath out, you want and just side it out. Allow yourself to move energy using sound, right? And your toning, the sounds that you make within your own body are going to be more valuable than anything else. Like me toning for you isn't the same as you toning for yourself. So begin by breath, use sound. Ziggy, long time no see. Look at that. How are you doing? Begin with water, begin with stillness. Numbness is a dam built in pain, right? So we've just been blocking ourselves so we don't feel it. And at the end, we've created a whole bunch of feelings that are stuck behind this dam, and it does feel overwhelming. But when you create safety in your environment, your emotions can return, and you can invite them in with tenderness, not force, and do these little practices to allow yourself to move them out of your body, out of your energy field. Oh, I got to straighten out my leg. It's falling asleep. Okay, we've got this little Waters of Remembrance invocation that we're going to do. And this is really quick and easy, this practice. So you can do this, you can redo this any number of times that you need to, or whenever you need to. So this is the Waters of Remembrance invocation. So what you do is you sit quietly. This won't work for me right now, but sit quietly, close your eyes. And then you're just going to visualize a waterfall of light pouring over you. And what this waterfall of light is doing is it's clearing your field, it's cleansing the entire field. Okay, so you can see that being 6 to 9 feet of a waterfall that you're standing in beautiful white crystalline light. And it's just pouring over you, cleansing through you. I like to do this when I'm showering so that I'm in the shower with the water pouring over me, envisioning that it is also light energy that's moving through me and cleansing my field while also cleansing my physical body. And then it's being down the drain, being, transmuted by the earth. So just sit in silence while I'm talking about all of this and visualize that beautiful crystal white light pouring down on you, cleansing your entire field in your body. Allow it to move through. You may see it where the top, like as it's pouring through, that you'll see it really light and it more shadowy in the space that it hasn't. And as it continues to push through, you'll see yourself getting clearer and brighter. And this is more shaded or more grayed tone to it, so it starts to cleanse and you see all the darkness kind of push out of your field. You could use it as a visualization as that. So next we're going to speak aloud. Okay, we're going to put our hands over our heart and we're just going to speak aloud. I remember through water. I restore through love. I feel without fear. I express without apology. My body is the river. My oversoul is the sea. So just breathe. Allow the tides to flow. And sit in that space and allow that to continue as long as you need. I'm going to continue on with what we're going to finish up with here because I'm running to the end of the session. I have to be off at noon because I have class. So in the honor of time, I'm going to continue going. So we've got a couple of journal prompts for you to work with. And I actually have an entire journal in the Temple of Light called the Waters of Remembrance Journal. So this has a whole, a bunch of stuff in it, not just a couple of journal prompts. But the ones for this session today, if you don't want to go into the Temple of Light and get the whole journal or any of the other free resources that I put there, then at least ask yourself today, what emotion have I denied that wants to move now? What sacred memory rides the wave of my tears? And what does emotional sovereignty look like for me? Okay, so what does emotional sovereignty look like for me? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the make sure that you drink water. Okay, make sure that you drink water with intention today. Speak love into it before sipping it. And share your remembrances, whether it's in, if you're doing it on YouTube, watching it on the replay, or interacting with this content on YouTube, then definitely, comment into there, or share your remembrance, or join us in the Temple of Light and add it in there. Because your body is not broken. Your tears are not weakness. Your water is your wisdom. So flow with it, speak from it, and heal from it. The waters of remembrance are rising within you. Let them return you to the truth. So I'm just going to give a little overview of the different groups that I have available on my website. So again, Anshara'El.com, the same as my YouTube or TikTok handles, Anshara'El.com. So the one group is the free community, and it's called the Temple of Light, and it's the doorway to remembrance. The Temple of Light is our open sanctuary for those awakening to the path of ascension. Here we gather to receive insights, light keys, and gentle attunements that activate remembrance and divine curiosity. It is the sacred entry point for the souls hearing the call. And included in it, you get weekly temple keys, so light-coded guidance and journal prompts. You get celestial sparks, which are short little teachings or energy attunements. You get still point mirrors, which are reflective card pulls or voice activations, and it's perfect for new seekers, curious souls, and those gently exploring their divine path. And then you start with the Ascension Gateway, and this is where we get into the paid groups. The Ascension Gateway is $11.11. All prices are Canadian. So if you're in the Americas or the UK, it's much cheaper than that for you. So the Ascension Gateway is the foundation chamber. It's for those who are ready to deepen. Hang on, I got to do my puzzle on TikTok here. There we go. So the Ascension Gateway is for those who are ready to deepen their spiritual embodiment. This tier provides essential tools for recalibrating the body, mind, and energy field in preparation for Oversoul embodiment and light body expansion. You get early access to the Truth Will Set You Free episodes, plus you get the paid content for public teaching series and things like that. So you get additional education for sure. You get energy body tune-ups, so weekly breath works or solar audios. You get Ascension Essentials, which are written or audio teachings. You get Crystalline nourishment drops, which are elemental or sacred body rituals. And you get light stream messages, which are channeled guidance. They're perfect for initiates that are seeking stability, energetic clarity, or rhythm on their journey. The Guardian Pathway is $22.22 per month. You get everything in the Ascension Gateway plus everything in the Guardian. This is the Warrior Priest Lineage Activation Chamber. So this is for emerging guardians, those who feel the call to protect, restore, and rebuild Earth's divine architecture. Here we learn the tools of grid walking, planetary repair, and energetic discernment. So this includes Guardian Wisdom Scroll, so truth drops and planetary decoding. It also includes fieldwork prompts or grid activation practices. There are mini lessons on Guardian tools and techniques, and there's Akashic or Oversoul alignment messages. I have one event that I have within that group every month, which is typically tailored to be like a grid work event or something along those lines. And it's perfect for light warriors, planetary grid workers, truth protectors, and frequency anchors. And then the Christic Mastery Circle is the next tier up from that. So again, you get everything in Ascension, everything in Gateway, and then you get the Christic Mastery Circle. So it's $44.44 per month Canadian. This sacred tier is the Circle of Oversoul Embodiment and Divine Law. This sacred tier is for high frequency initiates who are anchoring the Christos Sophia codes, mastering the light body, and embodying divine truth. It is a round table of Oversoul aligned guardians walking in full service. It includes solar sovereignty protocols for embodiment rights, its deep teachings, living the divine laws. There's light body expansion and Merkaba realignment. There's Chris Sophia roundtable or Oversoul guidance transmissions. And again, I do a live event within that group, a minimum of once a month as well. And it could be anything of any nature, whether it could be something for you individually or it could be something for you on a larger scale. And you get lots of extra perks from these groups as well. So it's perfect for advanced initiates, divine teachers, and living embodiments of the Christic path. There's the Oracle Chamber, which is great as a standalone, or you could have it as an add-on group. And this is the Temple of Vision and Divine Messaging. The Oracle Chamber is where symbolism, archetype, and divine messaging converge. So through this space, we receive monthly forecasts, lunar readings, and sacred decoding practices to attune our intuition and our higher sight. It includes full moon collective oracle reading and energy forecast, a new moon oversoul message and embodiment practice, monthly oracle training and symbol decoding and divine vision practice, as well as digital oracle decks and ritual pages. It's perfect for seers, readers, intuitive messengers, and those deepening divine communication. And then finally, the Still Waters Sanctuary, which is a private reflection space. And I believe that the Oracle Chamber is $22.22 and that Still Waters is $33.33 for their pricings. Again, all Canadian. So the Womb of Stillness and Dream Recall. The Still Waters is the softest place. It is designed for reflection, integration, and the healing of the inner world. It supports dream work, gentle somatic practices, and divine feminine balancing through rest and rhythm. It includes dream elixir prompts and lunar soundscapes, soft practices like womb healing, breath, or voice ritual, and then candlelight wisdom, poetic or reflective transmissions. Is perfect for dream walkers, healers, empaths, and anyone needing a sacred pause to return to self. So each tier builds on the last, creating a full spectrum of remembrance and activation and divine embodiment through the Anshara'El pathway of ascension. And that's it. I got to fly now because I'm going to be late for class because I talked a little bit late. It's right at noon. I love you guys. You have a beautiful day. We'll see you on Tuesday next week. Tuesday, we are going to be discussing, let me see here, quickly grab my notes from next week. So on the 13th, we are going to be talking about the solar codes of truth, recalibrating the will, and inner fire. So I love you, and I look forward to seeing you there, but I'm going to hop off today. If you're looking for anything from this episode, check it out on YouTube, where you can always catch the replay. And also there's lots of other stuff that I'm sharing, but do go to the Temple of Light, which is where the Waters of Remembrance journal guide will be. It's a PDF and it's a completely free group. So why wouldn't you go and join that? Mwah! I love you guys, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Have a beautiful, beautiful next 4 days.